Hey guys, Adam Hubbard here with Overswing Golf, and welcome to the channel today. Happy 2025. I want to welcome you to our very first video of the new year, and today we got something special. Today we are testing the brand new Cobra Darkspeed Adapt series. Now, this driver is going to be new for this year. They've got four models. You've got the low spin LS model, you've got the 10K, you've got the X, and then you also have the Max D. We're going to be testing three of them today. We're going to be testing the LX, the X, and the 10K model, because those are ones that are kind of geared more towards my swing speed. I can get those at 9 degrees of loft and adjust some things. We'll talk about each individual head as we go through on this video and some of the key technologies in those heads, but also the key technology that is part of the Adapt series. So these lines of woods are designed to adapt to your game, and that is where they talk about that. So the F33 or Fast Fit 33, there are 33 adjustable settings on this driver, and you can adjust this loft and lie angle. Now the cool thing with this driver is that you're going to be able to do this independent of one another. Most other vendors, if you change a loft, you're changing the lie a little bit. There's some that have a 2-cog system like Titleist or Callaway, where you can kind of do some things a little bit. Others were just a single fixed system. The old Cobra system was just a loft sleeve that did adjust the lie angle a little bit as well. With this new one, you've got 33 different settings. On the back of the driver, there is a QR code that you can actually scan, and it will take you to their website where, if you're doing a fitting or even if you're just adjusting some stuff on the fly, you can put in your ball flight characteristics and it will make a recommendation for you to start. So most likely you're going to be in one of those categories. There's going to be kind of the high draw, high fade, low draw, low fade, where you can kind of adjust the driver to kind of dial in. And then with a combination of the shaft offerings they have this year, plus the different head options, you should be able to have this club dialed in, finding fairways, and helping you lower your scores. We're going to be testing these three drivers today. I've got a Fujikura Pro 65 extra stiff shaft, which is going to be closest thing to my gamer. I will get a baseline. We'll talk about some of my stock numbers with my driver, and then we'll look at a couple of different things. We're going to be looking at ball speed, we're going to be looking at launch, and we're going to be looking at dispersion. All right, so as we go through, we're going to dive into these three heads, some of the technologies that are in here, what separates these three from each other, and we'll see what the numbers look like. We'll see how close they are from the low spin to the X to the 10K. For me, the one thing I'm really interested in is to see, we're going to be really diving into these three drivers in this video. So my plan is to look at the numbers, of course, ball speed, launch, spin, carry, and total yardages. Those are going to be the main things that I'm looking at, but also dispersion. I think for 2025, that's going to be a big story going forward with all of these new drivers that are be coming out, and we will be testing those, is to see, how much distance you can gain. That's always the hot topic. But for me, it's going to be how tight the dispersion is on the good hits and the bad hits. If you hit any driver in the center of the club face, it's going to go pretty good. If you miss hit it, okay, what happens? And then at the same time, can you dial in or dial out your miss so that you can ultimately hit more fairways? That's going to be strokes gain. You can hit more fairways or keep it in play more. And then that ultimately is going to allow you to hit more greens, get closer to the pin, all that fun stuff, allow you to score better. Okay, guys, so we're going to start out with getting a baseline with my own gamer. So currently I play the Ping 10K G430 with a Graphite Design UB6X shaft. The drivers I will be testing will be something similar. It's a Fujikura Tour 6X, so similar weight, similar length. The only one variable that I've got on mine, and I am playing the Jumbo Max XL grips. These will all have standard grips on them, but at least, again, we're just kind of testing just to get an idea, ball flight direction, and that kind of stuff. So we're going to hit 4 drives with mine just to get a baseline. Then we'll kind of jump into the LS, and then we'll do the X, and then we'll do the 10K model at the end, and then we'll play around with some of the settings and kind of see how the ball flight changes. All right. Now, I'll say a good drive for me generally is about 280. So that's kind of my numbers, you know. My ideal ball speed is typically in the 150s. If I'm swinging well, I can usually get it up in the mid 150s. You know, but carry and roll, if I can get it out there around 280, it's a good drive. That was hit well. Okay, so we got our 4 stock shots with my driver. And then, so now we're going to start with the LS model, and then we're going to go to the X, and then we're going to go to the 10K, which all 3 of these heads have a little bit different technology. Core things with the Cobra drivers this year, you still have the matte black, the Darkspeed, which is a really cool looking driver. Carbon crown, there's quite a bit of carbon on the back of the driver. Now, the difference with the LS driver is that this is the low spin option. So you have 3 weights. You've got a 10 gram, you've got a 3 gram, and you've got another 3 gram. And so depending on where you position that can influence ball flight. The heavyweight's going to do the most. You put it in the back, you're going to get the added forgiveness. In the heel, it's going to make it more neutral. And then if you throw it on the toe, it's going to give it a little bit more of a fade bias. And then you also have the Future Fit 33 system with a cog. Now, they recommend when you start out to put it in the A1. That's kind of their standard setting, and then hit 5 to 10 shots. We'll probably hit 5 just to see what the numbers look like. And then you plug it into there's a QR code on the bottom of the driver. You scan that, it'll take you to the Cobra website where you'll see the Future Fit 33, and then there's a plot chart on there that you can plug in with what you're doing with your ball flight, and then see what that changes. I'm gonna leave everything standard, A1, heavyweight in the heel. We'll leave the other 2 in the neutral and the toe setting on that one. We'll hit 4 or 5 shots with this one, see what the numbers look like, and then we'll jump into the Future Fit system and see how that changes with this head. Now, this is a 9-degree head. Now, I have mine is a 9, and I've got it turned down to an 8. So again, I'm just going to leave this all stock to start, and then I will dial in the flight as we go along. Feel is pretty good. I like the sound. Ball speed seems to be pretty decent. Now, I know the LS head is going to be the least forgiving of the 3, and my miss tends to be kind of middle or high toe with that one. So that was good ball speed. Carry was okay. Did leave the face open a little bit. Good ball speed on that one, 159. A little more left with that one, but there's 280. Okay, I like the ball speed on that one. Spin rate was pretty good, 2,400. So majority of those I say are probably going left. And launch angle 14.3 is pretty good. Spin rate 24. All right. $155 on the ball speed. Definitely feels faster through the air. And that's one of the things with the LS is out of the 3 heads, it supposedly is the most aerodynamic as well. They do a lot of shaping with this head off the heel around it to kind of make it more streamlined with that. Really good ball there. Okay, so we just got done hitting the LS model. Now we're going to go on to the X. Now the X is kind of a mix between the LS and the 10K to a degree. It's a little bit bigger footprint, still has some aerodynamics, still looks really sharp. You got the matte black top with composite crown, looks really good. same composite bottom. Difference with this one is the weighting system. So whereas the LS has 3 weights, this one has 2. So you have a back setting and a front setting. 10 grams and 3 in this one, whereas the LS hit you had the 10 and the 2 3s. So this one you can set it up the back weight or the weight in the back to give you that extra forgiveness if you want it. And then if you need a little less spin, you can move that weight forward. And again, that will also drop that spin rate a little bit. I'm testing all these guys in the stock settings. A 9-degree head. I'm going to test all 3 of these guys. So far, it's pretty impressed with the LS, though. So we'll see how the X compares. Again, we're going to hit 5 drives with this guy, see how the numbers look at the end. Then we'll hit the 10K afterwards and look at all 3. All right, so we've already hit our 5 balls with the LS. Now we're going to hit the X model. Now, looking down at the head, still sets nice and square, nothing crazy. Again, it's a little larger footprint than the LS, but it's not off-putting. It still looks nice and square. Doesn't look like it wants to go left. So this driver is going to appeal to a lot of different players, from better golfers to even your intermediate handicaps. Maybe they want a little added forgiveness. They want something that they can still adjust to be a low spin head. And then you still have all the loft and lie settings that you can do to really dial in. So again, we're going to see how this one tests, compare it to the LS. A little thin, but still pretty good. Felt really solid, but definitely drawing more. And this one definitely feels like it's a little easier to turn over, just again in the stock setting. That one was pretty solid, though. Decent ball speed. Actually had a little cut on that one. All right, last ball here with the X model. A little off the toe. Again, decent ball speed, but definitely easier to turn this one over a little bit compared to the LS. Now, this one I think would take a little bit more fine-tuning with that Future Fit 33 adapter. Like the head, like the feel and the shaping of the head, though. It looks more friendly, which is nice when you set it down. All right, so that's the X model. Again, we'll look at the numbers at the end, and we'll see how it compares to the 10K model. All right, so we just hit 5 balls with the new Cobra Adapt X model. We tested the LS first and then the X. Now we're going to test the 10K model. Now, this is supposedly the most forgiving out of these 3 heads. There is a Max D model that's really draw bias. Again, for this test, I didn't want to test that one because it only comes in 10.5, and I really don't need anything that's going to accentuate the draw. That's going to be the model for those of you that struggle with the slice. Most of the weight's going to be in the heel. It's going to really allow you to turn that ball over a lot easier, take over, get rid of that cut for you. Now, the 10K doesn't have a movable weight in the sense of where you can move it around the head. This one's got a fixed weight, super high MOI, 10 gram in the back of the head, a little bit more composite on the bottom, still has that nice shaping on the top with a matte black crown to it. Looks really nice. Now, again, initial impressions, sitting down behind the golf ball, it is a bigger footprint, but again, this still sets up nice and square in that A1 setting. Doesn't look like it wants to hook. I won't say it looks too dissimilar from the Ping 10K, maybe not as long front to back, but still, it's a larger head compared to the LS. Looks fairly similar to the X, just a little bit longer from front to back and maybe from toe to heel, but still nice and clean, sets up really, really square. Not a bad look at all. Now, the big thing with a lot of these 10K drivers is they tend to launch high and they tend to spin a little bit more. So I'll be interested to see what the spin rates look like with this one. Again, still set at 9 degree. Them being larger heads tend to be very, very stable on toe and heel strikes. But because of all that extra weight in the back of the driver, again, they tend to launch the ball higher with more spin. Now that first shot was a little bit off the toe. Held its line pretty well though. It didn't get the big draw, which is nice. Good strike. Nice feel too. Pretty good one. A little higher spin, but straight. Pretty solid. Again, pretty good ball there. Okay, so after looking at the three different drivers, I've always gravitated towards the lower spinning heads. I tried the 10K this year for last year for ping, just because of the added forgiveness, and a lot of the reviews were saying that it was kind of mid-spin, and the numbers kind of show that I don't hit it bad. So I'm going to try the LS head. I thought that was the most anti-left out of what I hit. We're going to see again. I'm going to try this in a different setting. So we had it on A1, which was all the standard settings. Went through the Future Fit 33. It was recommending a couple different ones. So I'm going to go down to the A4 setting. So that's going to be about 0.7. We'll call it a half degree less loft, so 8.5, but 1.7 degrees flatter. So definitely going to keep a little bit of that left bias out. I still have all the weights set where they were originally, 10 grams in the heel, 3 and 3 in the front and on the back. So we'll hit 3 shots with this just to see what the numbers look like. I was getting the best ball speeds with this one as well on the average. So let's see if that continues. That felt pretty good. So a little left. Ball speed was decent. Very low spin. Now that is an LS head. Yeah, 1989 on the backspin. That was definitely pretty low. That was a good strike. 160.9. Highest ball speed of the day. Good spin. 24.92. 288 on the rollout. Pretty good there. And the important thing with that one is it was the side spin number. That was 150 on the side spin. So good strike, really good ball speeds. Pretty much perfect numbers. 11.6 vertical launch, 2400 spin, maybe a hair on the high side, but not horrible. 38 on the land angle, which is tour average. So overall, really good numbers. Peak height, 99 feet in the air. So pretty good. Hit one more here. Definitely got some speed with this head. Knuckleball, 162 in the ball speed. It's going to roll forever. So there's definitely some added pop in this head. 162, 293. I like that. So again, a little lower loft. Spin's actually maybe a little bit on the low side. Okay, so I've left the lie angle there. Kind of like the setting. We're going to see what it does. I'm still going to leave the loft down a little bit. The one thing I'm going to change, though, is I'm going to put the heavy weight towards the toe. So again, kind of trying to dial in this head a little bit. Using the Future Fit system. So I may put it back in the A1. We will see. And I might try it a little bit flatter lie angle. But kind of feel like I'm within probably 1 or 2 of those settings with the A4 right now. Might still experiment a little bit with a couple of them, but I kind of like this head. Now, that was definitely a toe strike, and that's going to hold its line pretty good. Still really, really low spin though. So we're almost knuckling this thing off in that lower loft setting. So we're going to hit one more here. And the thing you got to really be careful of is too low a spin is not a good thing. You need some spin to kind of keep the ball in the air, kind of control it a little bit. Too low is 1300. That's as low as I've ever seen on a driver for me. Again, not a great strike, but not left. 151 on the ball speed. That felt like a little bit of a heel strike, but 260 down the middle on a miss hit. I'm not going to complain. So definitely has taken out the big draw. Now that was pretty high. Get one more here. Ball speed was still pretty good. Again, not a perfect strike. Best one of the day. 291 was a good swing. Spin axis, a little baby draw, really good ball speed. Still maybe a hair high on the descent angle, but would not complain. Some of that could be dialed in maybe with shaft, some of that could be dialed in with golf ball. But so definitely that flatter lie angle setting with the added benefit of the weight on the toe. Big difference in terms of keeping that ball flight a little straighter. I like his head. Get some really nice ball speed out of that. The aerodynamics seems to be helping. So, okay, so looking at the first 5 shots with my ping, so again, these are just my stock averages with that driver. So we hit 4 or 5 shots with that one. Total distance carry was 254 to roll out 265. Overall, not horrible. I had 3 that were a little left to center, 1 that was just a horrible swing, and then 1 that I blocked right. So again, not super consistent, but not bad on the averages that I did have. Those last 2 strikes were pretty good at over 280 yards, and both were pretty straight. So you can kind of see that on the average there. So when we look at just those 5 shots, we're using the shot analysis from Golf Shot. So this gives a nice overview of kind of dispersion of an average with that driver, and then also with the 5 shots that I got there. Next, we're going to look at the Cobra LS. So again, some decent ball speeds we have with this one. As we're going through, you can kind of see that ball speeds. We had a 159, 155. So average was pretty good, 270 on the total, best carry numbers. Average deviation overall was pretty good, 8 yards left. Apex was pretty high, 2,500 on the spin rates. So with some fine tuning, I think that head could be really good. Then we jump to the X model, and overall dispersion was pretty good. It was just more left. I mean, you look at the average here was 60% left of that target line. Didn't have much. So I only had 1 that went down the right side, but it was very consistent as far as where it was going. Just too much left spin for me, though. Averaging, almost 28 yards left to center. Again, not horrible, but not really what I'm looking for. And then looking at the 10K model, now again, this one was pretty consistent as far as kind of, 3 that were pretty much straight, 2 that were left, 1 that was quite a bit left on that side. But then, you look at the spin ratings, they're very consistent, 2,800, 2,600, 30, that was the most spinning 131. But overall, the side spin numbers out of the 5 shots were pretty good. We had 2 that were, again, more draw, but they would be maybe in play. This one would be kind of out there, but, deviation yards, 13 yards, 17 yards. I had 1 that was 40. Those first 4 were pretty good, looking at that one. Now, it was spinning a little bit more, 2,800, 2,600 on that one. So 2,790 on the average, but the side spin was pretty good, and then 7 yards left a total on that. So with that one, maybe with some fine tuning, could actually be a really good head as well, just a little bit on the spinny side. But for me, we're looking for straight, so that might be something kind of between that and the LS. Yeah, the LS was about 5 yards longer between that one and that one. 265 versus 270. We were 8 yards left of deviation, but then you look over here, you can kind of see that if you're 10 yards right, 10 yards left, it's going to show you that you're going pretty straight. Spin rate average was about 2,500. We'll take one more view here, just kind of a side view, looking at kind of the overall trajectory and kind of profile here, which I think this is kind of a neat way of looking at it. Overall, this is the LS head. So pretty good. I had that one thin one that came off kind of low, still rolled out decently. The good strikes, this is what I'm looking for. I like that nice linear ball flight, ball coming in, landing at a good descent angle, and then she's going to roll out a little bit. When we jump to the X model, again, pretty good. Very, consistent as far as those go. Carry rollout was pretty good. Land angle was also pretty decent. They had the lowest one, but it was the most left with that guy. And the 10K, you can definitely see this guy was higher. Higher launch, a little bit more spin, but overall pretty consistent too. And that's what you're going to expect with these 10K models. So, if you're looking for forgiveness, you're looking for straight, 10K may not be a bad option there. That's why you're starting to see more, even 4 pros go to these more forgiving heads, and if they can get the spin rates dialed in, they can get the ball flights and everything. Again, they're not generally the fastest heads, but for a player that's maybe that already has some speed and looking to hit the ball straight, it's not be a bad option. Okay, guys. So in conclusion, I'm going to say Cobra's got themselves a home run this year. With 4 different drivers, 4 different models to fit pretty much any type of player, from a low spin option to a max 10K and 2 in between. With the addition of the Future Fit 33 hosel, there's going to be something where you can get fit. And again, for me, it wasn't necessarily about the longest distance I can find with these drivers. It was the driver that's going to keep me in play. That's my goal for 2025, to find the driver where I can get good distance, obviously, but what driver is going to keep me in play. It's going to give me the opportunity to score, hit more greens in regulation, and make potentially more putts. And that's how you score. That's how you get better. 4 drivers, 33 different settings. There's going to be an option out there for you to get fit, get dialed in, find the right combination for your swing. Again, if you're new to the channel, hit that like button and subscribe. We're going to continue to push for 1,000 subscribers in the new year for 2025. We'll continue to do this. If you like what you're seeing, leave me a comment down below, and appreciate you watching. See you soon.